Good morning, everyone. I am thrilled to present Alison Schweitzer from King County and Christie Lovelace from the city of Shoreline. And they are going to produce GSI technical and financial assistance programs in Puget Sound and developing program models that are ripe for replication. You can put your questions in the chat and we will take it when they were done. So welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have the time, money, or staff to get a program started. I don't even know how to get started. When asked about Green Stormwater Infrastructure assistance programs, these are often responses we hear from local jurisdictions. Christie and I will be sharing about Green Stormwater Infrastructure technical and financial assistance programs in Puget Sound, program models ripe for replication. Christie and I are both part of a group called STORM, and before we dive into our presentation, we first wanted to give you an overview of STORM. STORM is a coalition of cities and counties in the Puget Sound watershed collaborating to meet NPDES permit requirements and create effective, consistent, and cost-efficient education and outreach programs. STORM's mission is to mitigate stormwater pollution by advancing broad-scale behavior change. Christie and I are a part of a GSI work group within STORM, and we wanted to share with you some work that we've done over the last few months. So in 2020, we completed a review of Puget Sound cities, counties, and conservation districts, whose logos are shown here, that offer GSI assistance programs to private properties. These assistance programs include financial and/or technical support to install a wide variety of GSI features on private property, primarily at single-family households. The goal of this work is to synthesize lessons learned from these programs related to aspects like program development, program management, community engagement, and equity approaches. We are compiling this information into a guidebook, which will be available later this year. The guidebook is intended to assist those interested in strengthening an existing GSI assistance program, as well as those interested in creating a GSI assistance program to better understand options and approaches to do so. Here's a brief outline of our presentation today. We'll be going over what a GSI assistance program even is, barriers and solutions, both to jurisdictions implementing GSI assistance programs, as well as barriers and solutions to property owners participating in those GSI assistance programs. And we'll round out with some top 5 tips to get started if you're looking to start a GSI assistance program within your agency. So our working definition of a GSI assistance program is one that supports GSI installations using financial and/or technical assistance. And note, as I mentioned, the programs we reviewed were intended primarily for private property retrofits, and most programs primarily serve single-family households. So oftentimes in these GSI assistance programs, many different types of GSI features are offered, although the most common ones that we saw were rain barrels and cisterns, hardscaping removal, rain gardens, tree plantings, and conversion to native landscaping. So digging a little deeper into what a GSI assistance program is, they can often include technical and/or financial assistance. Technical assistance involves providing the property owners with the skills, knowledge to design and construct and maintain a GSI feature. This could be in the form of a workshop, an on-site consultation, or providing web or print resources. On the other hand, financial assistance includes financial incentives to property owners to help reduce costs. These can include rebates, reimbursements, and/or cost shares. Most GSI assistance programs offer a blend of technical and financial assistance to eligible properties. There are a variety of GSI assistance program models within the Puget Sound region. We distinguish the program models based on 3 main ingredients. 1, the type of GSI feature offered. 2, the type of assistance offered, be it financial and/or technical assistance, but again, it's often a blend of the 2. And 3rd, the party responsible for designing and installing those GSI features. So that can look like the agency themselves doing the design and installation. The agency could hire a contractor to do that work. The agency could allow the program participants, the eligible program participants, to do it yourself, a DIY project, or the program participants could hire a contractor to do that work. I want to quickly explain the role of conservation districts in GSI assistance programs. While most conservation districts offer their own programs, today we will focus on how they support jurisdictions' programs. Many jurisdictions contract with conservation districts to implement all or part of their program, including support for outreach, providing workshops, and designing and/or installing the GSI features. A couple of examples of jurisdiction and conservation partnerships that we wanted to highlight include the City of Linwood partnering with Snohomish Conservation District. And in this partnership, the City of Linwood leads the outreach and participation recruitment work, while Snohomish Conservation District designs, installs, and supports the planting of the residential rain gardens. Another example is the City of Bellingham and Whatcom County, who partner with Whatcom Conservation District to support their GSI program. In this example, the city and the county handle the administration and outreach resources, while the Conservation District is the face of the program, helping the program participants design GSI features, as well as conduct inspections of the GSI features. Partnering with conservation districts or other non-regulatory entities can be very helpful if you're working with residents that have a strong distrust of local government. Partnering with a non-regulatory agency can help overcome this barrier, creating a more successful program for jurisdictions. Now I'll hand it over to Christie to talk more about the barriers we found in our surveys and research, as well as some solutions to address those barriers.
Great, thank you, Alison. So in this next portion of the presentation, we'll focus on two categories of barriers and ways programs across Puget Sound are addressing them. The categories of barriers include barriers to jurisdictions developing programs, and barriers that property owners face to participating in programs, which is of course central to program success. The barriers we'll speak on do not cover all of the barriers that these two groups face, but rather highlight a few major barriers that many of our interviewees spoke of. We'll start with barriers that jurisdictions face to developing a GSI assistance program. This includes time and staff, funding the program, and getting the program off the ground. One of the biggest barriers we heard of to developing a program is the time and staff it takes to create and manage a program. Many Phase 2 permittees only have one dedicated FTE to support their permit requirements, and finding time to develop and manage a new program can be challenging. The most common way that agencies overcame this barrier was by partnering. The partnerships we heard of were most often with a conservation district, as Alison shared earlier. However, some jurisdictions also partnered with a nonprofit or a consultant. From our interviews, I'll share a few examples of these partnerships. The City of Puyallup offers financial rebates for rain gardens, and they partner with Pierce Conservation District, who supports the program by helping site, size, and develop planting plans. The City of Everett works with WSU Master Gardeners to provide plant selection and design support for rain gardens. They also partner with Snohomish Conservation District, who provides technical assistance workshops for them. And lastly, Rainwise partners with ECOS for support with multilingual outreach. They also partner with Stewardship Partners to offer financial assistance to homeowners through 2 grant programs. Another strategy to overcoming the time and staff barrier is to start small. GSI assistance programs are more than large incentives to install rain gardens or cisterns. There's a lot of latitude in both the GSI features that you offer and how you can support property owners. A few examples of this. Offer technical assistance only. Programs can focus on offering technical assistance through workshops and site consultations. They can target either a single GSI feature or a few smaller GSI features. Another option, many jurisdictions provide a one-time distribution of native plants, rain barrels, or trees. The City of Shoreline's rebate program was developed after getting a bit of traction from a one-time distribution of rain barrels. Other programs offer cost shares for rain garden materials and for plants instead of rebating all of the work. This approach is used by both the City of Olympia and the City of Puyallup. The next barrier, funding the program. This is a tough one, especially in our current economic climate. For many jurisdictions, programs with stable funding was made available through utility fees or general funds. Many programs were also grant funded, especially those that were just getting started. Possible sources of funding that we heard of included the Department of Ecology capacity grants and gross grants, and the EPA National Estuary Program grants. The guidebook will share insights on how to communicate the value of these programs to both upper management and grant funders to support justifying program funding. That said, we've got a great audience here, and we'd love to hear any creative ideas for funding that you have or any regional partnerships that could help overcome this barrier. And to harken back to my last slide, we encourage those interested in developing a GSI assistance program to remember that there are a lot of options in the GSI features that you offer and how you support property owners. There are plenty of options that are less expensive than large financial rebates. And the final barrier we will cover in regards to developing a program, getting that program started. There are many decisions to make in terms of program protocols, data management, outreach, evaluation. The goal of our guidebook is to take those many approaches that are being used with Puget Sound GSI assistance programs and to synthesize them into a digestible suite of options to help simplify building a new program. There are 5 main chapters of the guidebook. The chapters include program foundations. Alison discussed most of these elements in the program models ingredients slide. You may remember it had like that nice looking butter and eggs on it. You'll need to determine from the slide, she talked about how you'll need to determine the GSI features that you want to include in your program, what type of assistance you'll be providing, and who will be responsible for designing and installing the feature. You'll also need to determine whether you'll include a legal agreement in your program. Legal agreements are used to ensure that program participants maintain the GSI feature to specific standards for a set number of years. The program implementation chapter will review the many elements needed to implement and manage the program, including but not limited to program tracking, outreach tools and strategies, and site inspections. An equity chapter will focus on the barriers to equitable access to GSI programs, as well as the approaches to overcome those barriers. It will showcase program models throughout the region that are implementing these approaches, and we'll dive into a few of those examples in upcoming slides. The evaluation chapter will share out the commonly tracked metrics, how to use a social marketing approach when evaluating a program, and how to structure a program to meet NPDES education and outreach behavior change requirements. Finally, the guidebook will share out one-pagers on existing program models to provide examples to build off of. Additionally, we'll include resources to support the various program elements, from legal agreement language to outreach materials, program tracking, and evaluation tools. You can expect to see a copy of the guidebook in late 2021. Next up, we'll review the major barriers property owners face to participating in GSI assistance programs. These barriers include financial barriers, technical skills, equitable outreach, having a suitable site for a GSI feature, and contractor availability. Financial barriers. I'm sure this is one we are all familiar with. Financial barriers, when we're talking about GSI features, can be broken into 2 main types of barriers. The first is the overall cost of installing a GSI feature. The second barrier is the upfront expense, which is a barrier for many, especially those from lower income households. Any approach that reduces the total cost of an expensive GSI feature can help overcome the barrier of overall costs. Rebates, reimbursements, and cost shares are common strategies jurisdictions take to reduce the total cost of a project. In our interviews, we learned that these terms are often used with some overlap. What's important, though, is how that financial incentive is calculated. One way to calculate a financial incentive is to cover a percentage of the total costs. The City of Kirkland uses this strategy, offering a rebate that amounts to 75% of project costs, up to $3,500. Another option is to offer a set dollar amount per square foot. The City of Shoreline offers $2.50 per square foot of contributing roof or hardscape area for rain gardens, and $2.50 per square foot of land converted to native landscaping. Projects must meet a minimum size requirement, and rebates are capped at $2,000. One last option we heard of in our interviews is to set up a cost share, where the jurisdiction is responsible for funding certain elements and the homeowner takes care of the rest. 2 examples of this. The City of Port Angeles offers up to $1,000 for rain garden materials. The City of Linwood also offers a cost share, but covers the design, construction, soil, and mulch, and requires that the homeowner pay for the rain garden plants. The second financial barrier, upfront cost, is a particularly significant barrier for our lower income community members. I'll share 2 examples of reducing upfront costs from the Rainwise program. Rainwise offers a contractor loan program. In this program, the contractor receives a loan to start work, and the lender is paid off by Rainwise using the rebate that the property owner would have received. This eliminates the need for a program participant to pay for all of that work upfront. In some cases, when the rebate covers the entire project, they pay nothing out of pocket. In a case where the project exceeds that maximum amount, The participant would pay the difference. Another strategy to reduce the upfront costs is to provide in-progress reimbursements for materials, meaning that materials can be reimbursed as soon as there is a receipt in hand. Both the Rainwise Access Grants and GSI Mini Grants offer this option. Moving down our list of barriers, the next major barrier to program participation is having the technical skills and knowledge needed to design, install, and maintain a GSI feature. In many cases, these skills go far beyond basic gardening skills. Technical assistance is often a key component of GSI assistance programs and sometimes more important to property owners than financial assistance. Nearly all programs offer web and print resources to support learning the skills needed to incorporate GSI features into the landscape. An increasingly common way to help program participants learn the technical skills needed to design, install, and maintain GSI features is to provide a technical assistance workshop. Snohomish County is currently developing a GSI assistance program called Rainscaping that exclusively provides technical assistance for a wide variety of GSI features. Many jurisdictions offer these workshops as part of their program, and many conservation districts do too. In fact, in lieu of providing a jurisdiction-hosted workshop, some jurisdictions direct their program participants to their local conservation districts' workshops. So big round of applause and shout out to all of the conservation districts out there that are providing that support. A bonus of having a workshop is that it can be recorded and shared out, making it more than a one-time resource. And lastly, on-site consultations are a common way that programs help interested property owners understand which GSI features they can incorporate on their property and to provide some guidance on siting and design. This is a common practice in nearly all programs because it allows jurisdictions to assess whether a property is eligible for their GSI program or not. Equitable outreach is an important barrier to consider. There are many more people out there that would love to add a GSI feature to their landscape, and we're completely missing these connections if we fail to address this barrier. To effectively engage with diverse communities, we need to adopt a few strategies. First, we need to go to diverse communities and not expect that they come to us. To support diverse outreach, many programs partner with nonprofits and conservation districts. Second, we need to build relationships and trust with these communities. GSI assistance programs can be an incredible way to do this. Many of the co-benefits of GSI, nature, beauty, safety, are benefits that underserved communities might really appreciate and certainly deserve. Third, we need to understand our diverse audiences and build programs that support them by reducing the barriers that they face to program participation. And finally, for our community members that do not speak or are learning English, we must provide in-language resources. This includes not only web and print materials, but also in-language workshops and assistance. I'll highlight two programs that have developed approaches to make their programs more equitably accessible. In 2017, the city of Burien installed 10 residential rain gardens in low-income neighborhoods. Advertisements for the programs directly encouraged people of color and Spanish and Vietnamese-speaking persons to apply. All outreach materials were translated into Spanish and Vietnamese, and interpreters were available at all events. Households that signed up for the program served as workshop sites, where community members interested in learning how to install a rain garden were invited to volunteer and help with planting the garden. The city partnered with Dirt Corps because of the organization's existing relationship within the community. This program was an excellent example of going to the community, understanding the community's barriers and reducing them, offering in-language outreach and in-person assistance, and working with partners that had established trusting relationships within the community. Instead of defaulting to a traditional rebate program, commonly seen in urban areas, King County conducted audience research with different types of landowners in unincorporated King County. Findings from this research have guided the development of their forthcoming GSI incentive program. The audience research showed that rural communities were less interested in a rebate program and preferred that King County offer rain garden materials and technical assistance. In addition, they preferred a program that would allow for veterans to provide that technical assistance and one that fostered green job development. This is an excellent example of developing a GSI assistance program in collaboration with a diverse community. If your program has already begun, it's not too late to reach out to diverse community members and to learn what barriers they face to program participation, the benefits they see in GSI, and what types of GSI installations would serve them best. Moving down our list of barriers, next up, site constraints. Site constraints can be another barrier that keep many would-be participants from joining our programs, with many popular GSI features, like rain gardens and cisterns, having many site requirements. To effectively address site constraints, programs should offer multiple GSI options. And to increase buy-in, we need to be sure to learn what the community wants and what they need, and to offer those in our programs. Snohomish County's Rainscaping program will offer technical assistance for 13 different GSI features. By understanding the variety of site restrictions that homeowners face, the different drainage problems property owners are trying to solve, and the varying budgets and physical capabilities property owners have to install GSI features, the county was able to create a menu of options that cater to many different property owners' needs. Finally, finding a contractor can be a frustrating process. Often, program participants won't know which contractors to reach out to about GSI projects. Also, many of the jurisdictions that we spoke to expressed that there appears to be a lack of contractors available to do this work. To help program participants find a contractor, provide them with a list of GSI certified contractors. If you don't have a list, reach out to neighboring jurisdictions and your local conservation district and pull one together. To help fill the contractor gap, several jurisdictions and nonprofits have created contractor training programs. By increasing the number of certified contractors and making these contractors easy to find, we can help reduce this barrier of finding a contractor.
So here are our top 5 tips to get started. 1, don't reinvent the wheel. There are a variety of program models that you've heard from today that you can learn from. 2, start small rather than not at all. You don't have to fully launch into a program that's really big and complex. You can start small with workshops or technical assistance, which can be a great start. Money isn't the only value you can offer. 3, partner, partner, partner. There are many nonprofits, conservation districts, and consulting firms out there with a lot of great experience with these GSI assistance programs. Partnering can look like collaborating on a workshop, partnering with a consultant for education and outreach support, or partnering with a conservation district to help implement some or all of your program. 4, identify and dismantle barriers for program success. Use social marketing practices to develop your program, understand your community's barriers, and do your best to actively dismantle those barriers. And last but not least, ask your community what they want. Understand what GSI features they want, why they want them, and perhaps where they want them. This engagement with the community will help shape your program and hopefully result in more buy-in. So with that, thank you so much for your time and your energy today. We are excited to be presenting this GSI Assistance Guidebook in late 2021. It will be available through the Storm Resource Reservoir and the Washington Stormwater Center resource page. If you have any questions or want to follow up with Christie or I, here's our contact information, and we look forward to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison and Christie. And I think that you found your byline, which is nature, beauty, and safety. That was really great. So it looks like Catherine's question was probably answered in the chat box. So Catherine, if that's okay, we're going to move on. And I actually had a couple of questions myself. Hopefully that's not considered cheating. So in addition to financing, do you think that how the programs are framed and communicated is a bigger driver in success than the actual dollar amount being offered for assistance?
Thank you, Heidi. That's an excellent question. I think this really goes back to using the social marketing methods and understanding what it is your audience needs to complete the behavior. So for some, they already have that motivation. They see the value in the rain garden, and they want to see, or whatever GSI feature it is, and they want to see it implemented, but they don't have that financial means. And that's when it's appropriate to be offering that financial barrier. But for others, they might have the finances, but they need that technical assistance or help, or they need to be, we need to talk to them and learn more how to talk on their level to talk about that value of the GSI feature and why it would help them out and help their community and get them on board.
That's great. Alison, do you want to add anything before we go on to the next question?
I think Christie covered it great. Thanks, Heidi.
Okay. And then in terms of developing trust with private landowners, you know, we hear a lot about the government, like as if it's a monolith. What do you do to sort of unpack the notion of a generalized government and put sort of a human face on it with some particularity?
Yeah, first thought on that is it's really going out to the community again and asking what they want. I think we're really excited at King County and how we're shaping our program for unincorporated King County by first going out to the community and doing that audience research, listening to them and showing that, hey, we want to develop this program for you. Tell us what you want and do our best to then actually deliver on those needs. So I think it's really going out to the community, and also it's partnering with conservation districts, with nonprofits, with each other. You know, just the storm network in general, I think is great to be bouncing ideas off each other and learning. So those partnerships, I think, are also really valuable. Christy, do you have anything else you want to add on to that?
I'll just say that I also see that, you know, these GSI assistance programs are really great ways to bridge and build those relationships with the community. So we talked about how they can offer so many benefits to our diverse communities, but there's also benefits to maybe those that don't have the best relationship with the government, and we can use these programs to support them and create better relationships as well.
Yeah, thank you. I've also heard that the vet corps programs are really useful in creating sort of a purple space to have that conversation. You know, everybody needs beauty and safety, right? And nature, doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. Cami actually had a question. She asked whether the programs are offering assistance with maintenance. You know, that's always like the hot topic, especially things like rain gardens where you may have to cycle out the media periodically. What was your experience?
Go ahead,
So,
Alison.
yeah, each program was a little different. Some of the agencies offered some maintenance follow-ups. Some of them would do the inspections and coordinate with the property owners. Some of them, I think, are still, I think it's also like the hot topic right now is we're still trying to figure out how to be incorporating that level of equity into the maintenance. And it's still something that I don't think we have figured out quite yet. But I know King County, I believe in our program that's in draft form right now, we're looking to help cover some of that maintenance as well, at least for the first year or so, to help show the property owners how to do it. So I think there's still a lot of lessons learned, though, that we can work on with the maintenance.
Great. Thank you. And then there's also a question about minimizing contractor liability in the process of developing those contractor lists. It's probably like the no endorsement issue, but have you found that people had to, you know, there was like a checklist and bonding and whatever else you had to go through to properly accomplish that?
That's a great question. I will say that for us in Shoreline, we're really benefiting from the Rainwise program, putting some of those lists together. And I know that one of the workarounds of that is that they're putting out the information of folks that are certified under their GSI program. And so I think that they put that caveat in there, that it's by no means all landscapers represented, and they're not trying to promote any business, but rather trying to capture all of those that have gone through that certification process and can offer those names out there.
Great, thank you. And we have 2 minutes. So if anybody wants to get their last minute question in, it's very interesting and so timely because it's a beautiful spring day. And I think we should all break out and go help somebody in the neighborhood. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, I want to thank Alison and Christie. You did a great job. It's a very happy topic, I find. I don't want to, like, you know, diss gray infrastructure, but I'd rather talk about plants. Well, thank you very much. We're going to wrap things up now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.